could be. Who knows? There's something due any day. I will know right away, soon as it shows. It make 'em cannonballing down through the sky, gleaming its eye bright as a rose. Who knows? It's only just out of reach down the block under a...
Greetings. My name is Howie, and I'm a sugar junkie. Actually, we'll get to that later, but this is Constant Forward Motion, sponsored by Pitbull Energy Drink. And that song you just heard from West Side Story, when I was in summer camp, I played Riff, the leader of the Jets. It was a lot of fun. But that song in particular, he goes, I've got a feeling there's a miracle due, and this show is Constant Forward Motion, and I have seen numerous miracles occur in my life. And I'm here to tell you, if you're up against it, don't count out miracles, because they happen when you least expect it. So anyway, today we're going to have a panel discussion with three hot women about the dream of the relationship or lack thereof. Not everybody wants the great relationship. Some people really enjoy, floating free. Everyone's different. But generally in our society, one of the great dreams, and they teach girls at a young age and boys with the fairy tales, the happily ever after, and so forth. But first, I just want to talk about a couple of things. I want to remind everyone that at some point, someone is going to host Saturday Night Live that came off of social media, and I'm putting it out there, and I've done this before, and I'm going to start doing this very regularly because repetition counts. I want to be the first person to host Saturday Night Live that came off of the internet and social media. And Lauren Michaels getting bombarded with emails and phone calls saying, we want Howie Wallfish to host Saturday Night Live. And I actually have a page like that on Facebook with about 140 followers, but it has to turn into like 140,000 and then 14 million. And there's no way he could keep me from hosting. He'd have to have me, even though I'm not a big star yet. So anyway, but social media, if it's not me, it's going to be someone else. Someone's going to come off of social media that's an unknown, that doesn't have a sitcom, that doesn't have a talk show, and that hasn't done a movie, and they're going to host Saturday Night Live because it's inevitable. And social media is what's led me to the three guests I have. I met every one of them through the almighty Facebook. That's what I call it, the almighty Facebook. And so now let's just talk real quick about the Oscars. I don't watch them. I record them. I wanted to watch Ellen because Ellen is pretty, she's the real deal. She's extremely likable. I do stand-up comedy. I entertain. Likability is critically important. And some idiot putz wrote in one of the trades that she was not nice to Liza Minnelli, and she made a racial, I don't know. The guy's an idiot, overly sensitive, no sense of humor, and this guy needs to never go to a comedy show in L.A. because he's going to leave crying like a little girl, okay? You cannot be that sensitive. And this is what I wanted to say to Ellen and about Ellen. Masterful opening. She fucked around with the hugest of stars in the front rows. She had a great time with them. She played around with Jennifer Lawrence, who was a great sport. I guess she tripped coming up on the stage last year. Ellen DeGeneres has masterful comedic timing, and that anyone spoke ill of her opening. The rest of the show, of course, those shows go way too long. They are very self-absorbed. Also, so I just want to say Ellen DeGeneres, masterful. And that's what I do. I'm not claiming to be Ellen DeGeneres or as good as her, as funny as her, but I play the detective in these murder mystery dinner shows, and we're going to be having one here at the Brownstone Bistro, where Roscoe's Media Center is, on March 21st, and we hope you'll come. It's an unforgettable night out, but that's what I do, and that's what I grew up with in the schoolyard. We just grew up giving each other shit. You had to have a quick wit, and you had to be able to give and take shit, and if you can't play in those leagues. You can't be in that industry. So that's what I do every Saturday night, but in the most likable and fun way. With total strangers, I give them all kinds of grief, and their loved ones love to see it, okay? So then I wanted to talk about, this is all off the Oscars, because this is a big thing. We're in Hollywood, Oscars is a big thing. And by the way, I ran a restaurant across the street from the Oscars last year, and for the weeks leading up to it, the security guys came in for lunch, and I talked to one of them who was like, ex-FBI, Navy SEAL, these guys were serious cats. And he told me the security at the Oscars, 7 layers deep, because the 3 top targets of terrorists is presidential inaugural, Super Bowl, and the Oscars. Because the Oscars is so American and it's live around the world. And if they could get to it and kill a bunch of movie stars on live TV, that would be huge. So it was unbelievable the kind of security they carried there. And the guys they had, because I saw they came in all the time. These are guys you did not want to be messing around with. You know what I mean? Now, let's get to Chelsea Handler, who I always thought was pretty funny. Although on her show, I personally find her a little mean-spirited. She gives celebrities a lot of shit. She really gets nasty on them. But, you know, God bless her, man. She's made a fortune. She made it in Hollywood. She captured the dream. So Huffington Post has her live tweeting for the Oscars. And apparently, off of the 12 Years a Slave thing, the girl that won Best Supporting is really classy, beautiful black actress from, I think she's from Africa. She had a very African name, whatever. And Chelsea made some tweet about that you just can't do in this day and age, or if you do, you can expect some shit about it. But the worst thing she did that she was going to get grief off of, and she did get a lot of grief, is 12 Years a Slave won for Best Movie, and she wrote, "You gonna be kidding me." And, man, you know, we are in everyone's very on edge these days, race-wise, and I don't know, man. But Huffington Post, they can't be apologizing for her. If they ever watched one of her shows on E! Channel, they knew what they were getting. So they have no excuses. And that's it. So on that note, let me introduce my panel, okay? All met off of the almighty Facebook. First, Miss Dana Hanna. And she's here because she is forever posting hypothetical questions or real questions about relationships. What would you do if? What if your guy or your girl did this? Is this a deal breaker? And I always respond that, you know, there goes Dana Hanna again. She's NBT, nothing but trouble. Okay? Then we have the Stefina Machine Gun Leshy. Stefina Machine Gun, Albanian. And, you know, the Albanians are crazy. I mean, and they're always blamed in the movies. Whenever they want to start a fake war, they say, let's say the Albanians did it. And she lives on a yacht, and I'm going to be straight up honest with you. When I learned that she lived on a yacht, we met each other because I friended her because she's friends with one of my favorite comics. And she told me she was divorced. That's one reason she's here. She can speak to that reality. I thought, oh, you know, this chick got married, got divorced, and now she has a yacht. That was my immediate assumption. Okay, you call it sexist, call it chauvinist, whatever. I can't deny that was my immediate assumption. I was wrong. She'll tell us what the deal is there. And then Miss Kim Calvert, who will speak to the reality of being single in this town and anywhere else, and who has an operation called Singular City. And, you know, the whole concept is that you don't have, a lot of people are miserable because they're single. They really buy into you can't be alone. And it's like, I've been single, you know, at various times, and it's okay. And the best time for me, I'll say this before we get started, the best time to be single is after you've been in a relationship with someone where that whole familiarity breeds contempt thing started to take hold, and then you're free. You are very happy to be single at that time. So on that note, let's get started. Let me first ask Miss Dana Hanna, what is it that compels you? You have a production company, first of all, right? Tell us the name of the production company.
It is Joyful Day Productions.
And you have a partner?
Yes, she's Joy. I'm Dana.
That's
Joyful
right.
Day.
and you guys do all kinds of things, industrials, commercial, whatever. If there's work, I once asked you on Facebook, and you said, if it's work, Howie, we go do it. Which is that's you know the idea.
Yep.
And so my first question is, what compels you that you're forever putting these posts, asking questions about relationships? Where does that? Did you study psychology in school? Do you just
This is my psychology. I'm just curious. I like to know how people's brains work, and Facebook was a great way to do that because, like, I'm at my max. I'm at 5,000 friends from everywhere.
Right,
so
you are very
I
popular.
Get so many opinions, and it amazes me because, I mean, they go from one extreme to the next. And
no question.
Everything in between, and, like, it's just awesome. So, like, a lot of times people think I'm picking or whatever. I'm just curious, like, wow, people really think like this?
Right, yes. Many things. Well, your last one was, I don't know if it was the most controversial, but it was the most intimate, I guess. You said you asked if your partner doesn't do the oral sex, is that a deal breaker?
Okay, let me also explain. Back in the day, I used to do Freaky Friday.
Oh, okay.
So I say, because I don't really get into sexual things a lot, because that's not me. But on Friday, people would want me to ask because they were afraid to do it on their page. And they know I'd kind of put anything. So that was a Freaky Friday question.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. They have Throwback Thursday. They have Throwback Thursday, which I've kind of grown tired of because it's constantly getting to the past. So I started Forge Ahead Fridays and Move Forward Mondays.
Okay.
And I'm asking everyone to join me in that because we need to look ahead to the future, not keep reminiscing. It's great to reminisce, especially if you're sitting around with friends, but there's too much obsession on the past for me. From where I came from. We were very attached to our schoolyard. I grew up in Bayside, Queens, New York, and I don't know. I'd prefer to go Forge Ahead and Freaky than Throwing Back. Okay, next let's get to Dafina real quick. So first of all, tell us, you told me, but tell the viewing audience, where's because you're going to scare people with the machine gun thing, especially since you're Albanian, and they're known as crazy people. So where did that come from? You said it was just one night out of the blue.
I was bored.
Having a few. I'll assume there were cocktails.
I saw someone posted something, Machine Gun Kelly, and I was like, Machine Gun Leshy. So I just.
There were no cocktails involved?
Oh, I'm sure I had.
I'm sure there were.
Bottle or two.
My kind of girl.
And Leshy is 2 L's, E-S-H-I.
Second L is silent.
And you're out of Chicago or outside of Chicago. And this yacht thing I mentioned, you kind of work the yacht. It goes out on charters and things like that. Is there anything, if somebody wants to hire it, do you want to tell them how? Is there a...
Yeah, well, I'd have to talk to my boss.
Oh, okay.
Sure, but, if anybody was interested, they could contact me.
And you've been living on that yacht in this rain. For anybody watching that's not in L.A., rain is a big deal in L.A. This city is not cut out for weather. People go into blind panic. How did you do on the boat?
It's nothing to me.
It's nothing to you.
Over 2 years now.
Okay.
So I don't even feel the boat moving anymore. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. It's hard now.
Well, that's a whole different reality. I can understand.
Right.
And now let me introduce Kim Calvert, Miss Kim Calvert, ladies and gentlemen. And I met you because you're always having events. And I put join all the time on a lot of events, so I'm reminded. First of all, tell them what you do. It's called Singular City. It's a magazine and...
Well, it's several things. It's a lifestyle magazine for single people, and that's called Singular.
Okay.
It used to be in print, and now it's only online. And it has an affiliated social networking community. That's Singular City.
Okay.
And then we do events for our readers and our members of of the social community. So
and they can find you on Facebook, Singular City.
SingularCity.com.
Oh, SingularCity.com. And then if they want to be a member, there's a monthly or yearly dues or whatever.
You can join for 3 months, 6 months, or a year, and
then they go to you had an Oscar party that was members only at a nice house.
Yeah, some things are for members only. Some things anyone can come to, but and we also do like a weekly newsletter called the Singular View. So that's free. You can sign up for that too.
So for you, have you been married?
I was married once.
And did it go long? Did it go fast?
I think after about 3 hours, I was thinking, I think I made it too long.
Yeah.
So that's where the singular lifestyle came.
It took a long time, and I'm like a typical American woman, girl. I grew up in, watching fairy tale movies,
right.
and reading fairy tales, and thinking that that's what you did.
That's the dream.
The Prince Charming, and you lived happily ever after, and. When I met a man who reminded, in my mind, who Prince Charming should be, this very charming Englishman who was a cross, kind of like a Peter O'Toole, just like
debonair, classy.
Yeah, classy. He was a total, actually a con artist, but
yeah,
he did get a green card out of the deal. But so it was like I married my fantasy of Prince Charming, and it had nothing to do with the reality of who this man really was.
Right.
So, and I learned a lot about myself in that relationship, though, because I thought if I just worked really hard on fixing him, then
the old
he
fixing
would
him routine,
change, and we would finally be happy. And then I learned, it wasn't just him; it was me. It was
right.
All
right.
So that was the first one.
Well, that's a good
one.
kick. That's the first and the last. That's a good kickoff to what you'll agree. I'm sure a lot of women do is the fix 'em, right? You were married, but it went real quick. You told me.
Yeah, I was married for just a year.
For just a year. And prior to that, you'd been together for a
Like
few
4
years.
years.
Once the marriage, you told me that as you
was
were
right before.
approaching the church, you were thinking, but
I didn't
it
even
was.
want to get married.
What did you the word? She just what she told me. It was too late to turn back. It was like
Yeah,
you
I
were
had
past
my
the fail
family
safe,
coming,
everything.
And he felt, I know we both felt the same way.
Really?
He put so much pressure.
That was like a
on making
sign.
everyone happy.
Right.
You don't even.
You
get
can't
married
do
the
it
right
for
reasons
everyone.
anyway,
Right.
You know?
That was like a Seinfeld episode when Jerry slept with the gymnast and she wasn't what she was supposed to be because gymnasts are supposed to be like the great fantasy or whatever. And then he's asking Kramer, how much time do I got to put in before I break up with her?
Right.
So you guys, before you broke all your family's hearts or whatever,
Right.
you had to put in some time.
Well, yeah, and then I remember my cousin was there, and she's like, "Don't do it, man." I was like, I have
Nobody
to.
stood up when they was like anybody.
No.
Don't do it. Don't marry him or don't break.
Don't marry him. She was
Oh,
married.
she tried-
She's also divorced now.
Oh,
but she was married.
your cousin I see on Facebook with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Roz?
Rose.
Rose.
Yeah. And I'm like, and so I even called, the guy that was going to marry us. I was like, hey, can we just like pretend that we're getting married off paper? And he's like, I can't. I already got the marriage license. And because
Wow.
I knew it
So
was
that
wrong.
wasn't.
Wow.
So it certainly wasn't
So-
happily ever after there.
No, but you know what? Even like after we got married and stuff, like we really loved each other, but we just are so different. And you realize everything as you're getting ready to get married, and you start freaking out about it. 'cause
Oh,
then
I
it's
can't
it,
imagine.
You know?
I can't
And-
imagine.
And we start hating each other.
Yeah, that's not. I will
that's
tell
what
you
makes
this
it
much
real.
I've learned.
Exactly.
This much I've learned. There's a reason they have that saying, familiarity breeds contempt. And it's not just in intimate love relationships. It can be with roommates, with people you work with. You start to just, the littlest things they do, and you just want to kill them, And so you were married at some point.
I wasn't married.
You weren't married, but neither of
Engaged
you
a few
have
times.
children, right? You have
I have.
a daughter.
I have a daughter and a son. Yeah.
A daughter and a son.
Yeah,
And
but
they're
didn't
doing
do the
well.
marriage
So
thing.
you're happy about that.
Yeah.
And you currently are in a relationship with a guy.
Not anymore.
Oh, you were.
Keep up on Facebook, Howie.
Wait a minute. You were when you came to the comedy show. She came to Lulu's.
Oh, did she?
up,
Yeah.
On Friday. Every
Was it Friday?
Yeah, every Friday. Now it's every Friday because we're doing this contest. But you came to a theme show. I did, all black
funny.
comics, and and honestly, this is exploitation of people who have a big following.
And he told me though. At least he let me know.
I was straight up with her. I need to fill that room, and she's got so many people, and I figured let me bring some of the best black comics I know, and hopefully she'll get it. And she brought out a bunch of people, and they had a great time, right?
Yeah.
Those guys I brought are good. They were good. They're definitely funny. So that was a month ago. A month and a half.
How was longer? I mean, how long does it take?
How
to break
long
up
did-
with- Does
how
it take
long-
a year to break up with someone?
Well, how long did it go?
Yes, exactly.
So let me ask you this:
Just text.
was the breakup done by text?
So much easier.
This is going on now. The machines are taking over. How do you have intimacy if you're texting someone, "I'm done with you"?
Right.
Some people do it cold, but you weren't doing the fixer-upper thing. We were talking about what women really get. Here's what I tell women, and you tell me if I'm wrong. At this point, I think once you've passed 30, really if I was a woman, I'd say once you've passed 25. And it goes for men too, but more for women than men. The most important thing, I think, that you have to find out when you start dating someone new is you need to take a look. It doesn't matter what anyone says. You have to only pay attention to their actions. And this is what you need to know. How much do they drink? How often do they drink? And most importantly, how does their behavior change when they drink? Do they turn nasty towards women? Because there's a lot of men like that. Do they start calling them all the names? And the other thing you need to know is where are they at with all substances, whether they're wake and bake potheads, and how does it affect them? If they're lovey-dovey and wonderful, that's fantastic. The other thing I tell people, and this is really kind of low, but I still tell it to people, as soon as you can, you want to get in their apartment. Not for the sex necessarily. To get to their bathroom, to look in the cabinet, to see if they're taking 42 different prescription meds. And if there's a lot of antipsychotic meds in there. Because if you're going to be in their bed and get intimate and open up to them, you have a right to know what you're dealing with. And I speak of this from personal experiences. Very much so.
Right?
The only woman I was going to ask to marry me, I didn't see it. She was really quiet and shy. She was a poet. We'd go out to eat. I'd go to the bathroom. I'd come back on a little cocktail napkin. She'd write a poem. Just touch a heart, okay? The second cocktail, the second drink, whatever it was, didn't matter if it was beer, wine, margaritas, daughter of Satan.
After two?
Two. That's all it took. And it was get the fuck out of my life. She had daddy issues. Daddy didn't pay attention. Her father was an exceptionally good-looking man. I'd seen pictures of the family. And he was a player. And so he'd be in the bedroom, and her sister, they'd be hungry. The mother was not there. They were divorced, whatever. I remember her telling me he'd throw money under the door and say, go get some lunch. So she had daddy issues.
I think after a certain point in your life, though, you just have to, like,
Well,
forget your...
I-
you can't blame everything on your parents.
no, of course not. I mean, but if you're drinking, if you can't handle your alcohol, it will lead you back to blaming everyone. That's a classic thing. All right, well, on that note of alcoholics blaming everybody, not taking responsibility, we're going up to our first break.
No calories, no carbs,
Is this a show? Did I tell you I'd give you a show?
Smooth, natural blend of energy, vitamins and minerals. Need to quench your thirst? Try Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink, the only energy drink named suitable for diabetics by the American Diabetic Association. It's now available with no calories, no carbs, no sugar, and no fat, and a smooth, natural blend of energy, vitamins and
Okay, so let's get to alcohol is a critical thing in our society, very important. Now, I'm going to tell you my personal reality. I was a martini man. I discovered martinis. There's nothing like then that second martini kicks in. Oh, and you know what else? There's a whole ritual if you're doing it at home, the making of the martini and the sitting down, chilling the glass. I did it with a lemon twist. And also going out. And Sex and the City, of course, made it really popular, the Cosmos and all that. But it's 7.5 years now. And the reason I walked away from alcohol, and I never said I'd never drink again, it was in the way of making money. And it has cost me women. It has cost me dates. They didn't like that I didn't drink. And I thought, my thinking was, man, with all the guys out there that are so whacked out and can't handle their alcohol, there's 40-year-old frat boys out there. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought, a woman would be happy to have a guy that's responsible enough to say, no, you know what, that money is for buying the house and buying you Tiffany jewelry and all. But that's not how you think, is it? You kind of like a guy to have cocktails with you,
well,
right?
It makes a red flag go up, and my friends know it because we laugh about it. I always seem to get the guy that doesn't drink at all. I mean, from my daughter's dad on down, like. I date a lot for the last 5 guys because for the last 5. Well, listen, okay. Anyway, yes, probably even 8 of the last 10. I don't know, but they did not drink, and so I always go, really.
Oh well,
what do you do?
Wait, but were they all in the program?
No. Only one of them had ever even tasted alcohol before.
Oh, they just were never drinkers.
Only one of them had tasted it before.
So
the other ones never. My daughter's dad never had a sip of beer. He wouldn't on New Year's wouldn't drink champagne.
But that meant he was never going to turn into an abusive alcoholic to you.
No, and that's great, but it's like till this day though. When somebody says that, I'm like, again, what is it with me? And he's like, only me.
This is not an issue for you if you're outside of Chicago. Drinking is very big in the winter states.
There's nothing else to do.
That's exactly correct.
A lot of garage parties.
And you, the events, people get together and have cocktails and loosen up and socialize.
I think like a normal person who drinks has a glass of wine, not.
Well, that's the question at hand. That's the question at hand.
Or they have a half a glass of wine and are done. I mean. So.
But people do like to get that buzz going.
Someone actually drinks a half a glass of wine.
Well, you know what they say about martinis. Martinis are like breasts. 1 is not enough, 2 is perfect, and 3 is too many. It's an old saying. But 2 martinis. The truth is, my friends knew 2 Martini Howie was very charming and fun to be around. 4 Martini Howie was starting to get a little loud and obnoxious, and 6 Martini Howie was getting a bit touchy-feely.
6.
And so exactly right. What the hell am I doing having 6 martinis? That's not a good thing, really. Now, but it's not a deal breaker for you if a guy comes along.
No, I designate a driver. I'm actually.
No, I mean a deal breaker if another guy comes along that doesn't drink. You'll still date him, and you might continue to date him and go for a while with him. But something inside of you, you'd prefer that he had some cocktails with you.
I mean,
or shared a bottle of wine.
I've just.
There's a certain romantic thing to the bottle of wine
Yeah,
deal.
I just like, okay. I just don't get it. But
And it's you.
know,
None of your friends get this.
none
Guys
of
that
my other
never.
friends get guys who don't drink, have
And-
never drank. I mean,
And I'm going to go ahead and assume, like I did with you owning the yacht off of a divorce, that you've never dated a guy that doesn't drink.
No.
I can't imagine that.
If they said that, I would be like, why?
You see, this one likes to drink the
They're normally
party.
sex addicts.
Oh,
I'm
that's
not gonna
horrible.
lie. No, I found like that
The ones
was a
that don't
study I
drink
did.
are sex addicts.
Women and men, like
Oh.
women and men. I've
Well, wouldn't
did
you
a
rather
study.
be with a sex addict than an alcoholic?
Oh, God.
Look at her.
What do you, Kim can't make a decision.
I want to be able to have fun with someone and feel like they're having fun too, and not just
Having a lot of
judging
sex
you
is fun.
because-
Right.
No, that's the other thing. Let me tell you about the drinking, not drinking, and the judging
Because
deal.
you don't drink at all now.
No, I haven't drank in 7.5 years. But here's the deal.
about Friday?
Today's Tuesday. When I leave here, because I think the three of you are bringing me the luck, I'm going to buy my Mega Million tickets, even though the bastards increased the odds by like 40 million to 1. They increased the numbers. It used to stop at 58 or 59. Now it goes up to like 76. But there's only 15 mega numbers. But either way, I'm going to buy my Mega Millions ticket.
Okay.
And if I win like 80 million and I clear like 32 million in my pocket, believe me, we're all going to be on a tropical island. I will be in a hammock.
You promise?
Yeah, oh, I promise.
You're gonna have
32
drink.
million in Howie's pocket is going to do a lot of good for a lot of people. There will be some cocktailing.
All right, just not 6.
Well, honestly, I can't say there won't be because there'll be no financial pressure. I'll be surrounded by people I trust implicitly. I won't have to worry. That's another thing for women that go out and drink. If they're going to really party, you have to have, men like to have a wingman or whatever. You have to have a girlfriend that's watching out for you.
I'm usually the girlfriend
Right?
that watches out.
Because the guys are slipping the date rape drug. I mean, I have goddaughters, and I told them, you don't ever let any man bring you a drink from the bar. You stand at the bar, you watch the bartender make it, you pick up the drink, and when you go to the bathroom, you take the drink with
Right.
you.
Or you just finish
But
it.
you know,
You
what?
know,
A lot
or
of
you
times
just
it's
finish it.
bartenders, you know, that are doing it.
Well, the
I've been
bartenders have to
hearing this,
stay
you know,
there till
from
2.
Some friends, though.
Yeah, but the bartenders have to stay there till 2 a.m. How do they
Doesn't
get you?
matter.
How do they get you?
someone, They roofie them.
Oh, and they
make
have a
huge-
partner.
They give them a huge tab, and they get a huge tip.
Oh, they're doing it for the money, not the sex.
I hope I didn't give a lot of people an idea.
No.
I don't know. You just made people aware.
Right, but they do.
Well, people need to be aware. Women really need to be alert that there are predators out there. There are really bad guys out there. That poor girl, remember Natalie Holloway? She was 18. She was a churchgoer. She was a Southern girl. She was the cheerleader. She was the perfect girl, right? But her mother, and I'm not blaming her mother, and I feel terrible for these people. If they thought that she was going to go to a tropical island at 18 years old and not party down, no matter how good a girl she was at home, they were completely deluded, right?
Right.
You know, and the only way to prevent that is you got to talk to your kid and say, listen, you know, if you're going to party, I can't stop you. I won't be there. And I'm glad you're getting to go to the But you've got to have a girlfriend that's looking out. There's, you know, right?
Definitely.
And it's not even, you know, I actually have more guy friends than anything. And I'd rather, and then I feel protected.
Right.
But even sometimes, one night I went out with 2 of my guy friends. They're both like 6 foot something.
Well, that's
And we
helpful.
get out, we leave the bar, and this go, oh, this guy's an Uber driver. I'm like, he is, okay.
This
We
guy's
get
a
in,
what?
Uber driver.
Uber
we
driver.
get in a car with someone, he's not even an Uber driver.
What do you
And then
mean by
he's like,
you
can I
mean
have a cigarette? I asked my friend for a cigarette. And I was like, stop the fucking car. I was like, I want to get out. Because like everything inside me was like, it
And
was
you were
wrong.
with your 2 guys.
Well, you got to go
Yeah.
with your instincts.
And I mean, stopped the car. I was like, that's it. I'm out. They're like, Davina, get in the car. He's cool, man. He's cool. I was like, yeah, he's really cool. He went to the bar by himself. He's pretending to be an Uber driver.
What is an
And
Uber
then,
driver?
An Uber driver, it's an app on your phone, right?
Oh, I see. I've never downloaded
drink and
one
drive.
app.
Oh, he doesn't drink
I see
anymore.
this guy around all the time
That's
by
what-
himself.
Oh well,
Always
then
by
no.
himself.
That's a
It's just
that's a
so
red
weird.
flag. If he's not out with friends, if he doesn't have
Come on.
pals, those are red
And there was my
flags.
2 guy friends supposed to protect me.
Yeah.
I was like, God.
Now, what about at the singular city events when you have different people that don't know each other, all know each other? They gather. Have you ever had instances of a guy getting too drunk, out of line, any of that stuff?
Not at all.
I'm asking you. It happens.
Seriously, I'm not. I would say.
It wouldn't be your fault.
People that are actually members of Singular City.
They're all
we know
classy.
each other. Yeah, they are
Okay.
classy.
But you have new members come in.
And yeah, but we kind of like we meet them. Like say if we're gonna have a happy hour, like we had a happy
Right.
hour in Beverly Hills. you just kind of meet them and kind of check them out, like you would anywhere. But it's kind of like you're surrounded by friends. When you were talking about having a wingman, well,
Right.
you've got like 30 wing people around.
But
you.
I'm saying that's great. But have you ever had like a new member come along and it turned out some guy that didn't handle his alcohol well, and was there ever any reason to say, you know what, you need to leave our?
Maybe a couple of women.
Right?
Let me tell you
A
something.
Halloween party.
Let me tell you
But,
something. From doing the murder mystery shows, I can tell you straight out, the women are much worse than the men with the alcohol, because it's like I'm out there, I'm being the detective. I work through the room. It's not like comedy, stand up. I'm not on a stage. I'm working a banquet room with round tables. The ones that are causing the biggest annoyance, that are not stop talking, that are interrupting my brilliant comedic talent, are not the men. It's the women who watch Sex and the City, the Housewives of Atlanta, the Housewives, and they have decided, these shows have given them license to be frat boy drunk in public. And it's like looking at your Aunt Marilyn falling down drunk, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's why that's what I'm saying. Okay, here's what they say. When you're in your early 20s, you don't need to know your limits. You're expected to get hungover. You're expected to throw up in the car. You're expected to throw up out the car window. You're expected to try to grab some girl who punches you in the face. All these things are expected in your early 20s. And for women, they're expected to wind up having some one-night stands that they wake up in the morning and maybe have some regret about. And hopefully, for them, they're not pregnant. But this goes on in your early 20s. When you're in college, or you're fresh out of college. For me, college was working in the restaurants here in L.A., out of my neighborhood, and it was like college. We had a lot of fun, and we did a lot of drinking, and everybody's flirting with each other, and all that stuff's going on. But at some point, it gets to the three words: know your limits.
Right. Exactly.
Right? That's adult.
Exactly.
And for me, one thing, you're right. I did get DUI'd. I got DUI'd, and I did the right thing. I was in Santa Monica at what used to be World Cafe. And I had our friend Janie was visiting from wine country, and me, her, and Tommy, who was our mutual friend, we enjoyed our martinis and our wine together. And we traveled when she used to be what we called an executive chick. She sold advertising. She had an expense account. So we got to
They
But
tell
it-
us how our
yeah.
chances drop, and then you're
You're never gonna have kids.
And you get
right.
the
or if you
the
have
back,
kids, no man will want
Oh,
to marry
yeah,
you. It's
you
like,
get the backhanded remarks.
always. I
like,
mean,
right?
so it's
So what about your family? Did they ever give you the grief about that, you didn't give them a child or any of that
not,
stuff?
Not
or-
at all. I mean, I had enough
You're
of
lucky.
that pressure just from every movie I ever saw.
Yeah.
Right.
But, like I remember
They still
when I
do
was
it in movies
dating
today.
My ex-husband, I only knew him for 3 months before I married him, by the way. And when I was talking to my best girlfriend, who was in a miserable marriage of her own, I'm like, "Gee, should I marry Philip? I've only known him for 3
What'd you
months."
say?
And
Right.
she goes, "You don't want to be like 35 and not married, do you?"
wow.
Right? Isn't
And
that
I'm
horrible?
like, "I don't." Okay.
Right.
And then
And you
I-
said she was miserable though.
and I had
Exactly.
been at a therapist time. I go, "So is it too soon to marry him?" She goes, "You can always get a divorce."
Yeah, like it's a piece of cake.
Yeah. Isn't that
And
funny?
then I found out later, it's like hideously difficult
God.
to get. Even when he didn't even give me any grief about getting a divorce, but it was so hard. It was so easy to get married. It's really hard to get divorced.
Oh,
All
is
the
that right?
paperwork,
Oh, yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
filing here, this paperwork there, blah blah blah. I mean, it was.
Hate each other. Hate each other.
You know what? My thing always comes back. I have to admit, my deal on everything always comes back to money and having tremendous excessive amounts of it. And I'll tell you why. Number one, if you guys see me on Facebook, I'm a big dog advocate, right? So it breaks my heart to see these pictures all the time. And and I have a pit bull who was abandoned in front of my house, and pit bulls are discriminated against. And I'd give a lot of money to help. And there's a gal that's doing the Million Pibble March. They call them pibbles, pit bulls. She rescued this female pit bull that's just angel. I mean, the dog is the sweetest thing, and it was abused. And she is a mad advocate. Her name's Rebecca Corey. She's a great comic. You may have seen her. Very talented gal, but God bless her what she's doing. She's bringing the Million Pibble March on Washington, D.C. in May. Okay, so she's short, I think, 13th hour right now, and it's got 5 weeks on the Kickstarter or whatever it is. I'd write her a check. I wouldn't blink an eye. I wouldn't blink an eye if I win that Mega Millions, if I had the money I'm supposed to have. I always say that I'm supposed to have, and I got nobody to blame but myself. My story with money is unbelievable. I came into chunks of money at different times, and I just pissed it away. And you know what? That's
long as you
another
have
thing.
fun.
How many men have you met in this city that tell you about what they had back in the day, their $1 million business?
You know what
their
I
Ferrari?
say? I don't really care.
No,
That's
but but how many, when they tell you the story, and because when I hear stories of people that had millions, now I blew tens of thousands. When I hear people that blew millions, I'm like, and it's always the same answer. There's one of two things. They point to their
Yeah.
nose, cocaine, the devil on earth, or
Women.
the marriage
Right.
and women. I don't know how many guys I know that got married, had the kid, and a year and a half later, she was done. She wanted the kid. You know that.
It's like
There
your
are women
golden
out there
ticket
that
for the
just,
rest of your
right,
life.
for 18 years at least, you're covered.
Right.
And that's real and true. And it's very
is.
sad.
There are a lot of women in this town that is they've
Exactly
made
what they're
that
here
a
for.
career,
That-
how
It
to
is.
marry money and get your
No
bits on it
question.
and then get rid of it.
Yeah, I'll say one thing also. I had a friend, or I still have a friend, but he's a really good looking guy. He has so much to offer anyone. And he's like, I don't get it. I always meet these gold diggers, blah, blah. And I was like, when I first met you, I said, you know what you said to me? I make really good money. I make blah, blah, blah. I go, that's what you're attracting. You're attracting these women.
advertising.
You are.
Well, that's
Why?
kinda lame. You
But
let-
guys don't even know they're doing it.
No, well,
You know, people don't even realize that that's the kind of person
at a
that they're
certain
attracting.
point, hopefully they get enlightened or they
Right.
get a
Yeah.
humbling
I
experience,
wasn't even
whatever.
friends with him for another year after that because I was like, I don't freaking
Well,
care.
that's just
Like,
that's
you
such
know?
typical LA lameness. You
Yeah.
don't start off a conversation because they believe that's the only. However good-looking people are, and you know this about really good-looking women. The girl I was going to marry, she was extremely attractive. You know, she had her boobs were so big she wound up getting a reduction before I knew her. So she turned heads, and she was annoyed that men stared. You know, she'd wear a tight white T-shirt. I didn't care, but she'd get pissed off that men were staring at her boobs. I'm like, listen, I don't know. I knew girls in 6th grade that got boobs, and they adjusted immediately. They just knew this was going to go on for the rest of their lives. This is, this is how it's going to go. That's just part of life, and. You can be pissed off about it, you can accept, and then you can learn how to talk to guys. Women will say, my eyes are over here, that kind of thing, right? But I was saying that I think the best way to marry at this point, I mean, for me, I know, it's to have enough money to buy 2 houses next door to each other with a walkway in between. If I were to marry, that's right, a walkway in between. And if we're getting the familiarity breeds contempt deal, you know what? Go to your house. I bought it for you. Go. You know, take your credit card. Go drink with your girlfriends. I really don't care.
I'm not against that.
I just
Your
want to be
separate
left
lives.
alone now. And she can do the same to me. I'm not claiming to be no walk in the park. You know, I can be my dad was a very domineering, screaming, I'm a New Yorker, I'm an entertainer, I can be loud, I can be pushy, all that stuff. I know that, you know. That's where alcohol and pot can come into play for certain personalities. Because for a while, when I was smoking pot, I became much more, you know, mellow.
People say
And-
that. I can't do it.
If I smoke pot now, you guys would be taking me to the emergency room for a lithium drip. Just mad anxiety. Not, you know, alcohol I miss at times, but I don't miss the pot. So anyway, that's not a bad theory, though. Do you agree? If you were to marry or go to domestic bliss to have 2 houses,
No, you know what I think? I think you both have to have your own lives, like your own passion, like whatever it's your career or your hobbies or your friends. You can't just be together all the
completely dependent on
time. You
each
can't.
other.
You have to. A lot
One
of people
person
get
can't
married,
fulfill all your needs.
That's it. People get
another
together
thing.
and then they lose their friends, and then
I-
it's just
That's
them.
the
You know
worst.
what I
That's
mean?
Definitely never that person.
No.
Everybody knew, but I've also in the last few years, everybody I've dated has lived in other states, also countries. Like
You
I
mean
like
you've had
it's-
the long-term
I-
relationships?
long distance.
Well,
like,
I mean
again,
long distance. That
4
makes
to
it,
5. I don't even remember the last.
but that
Have
makes
I
it
dated
better.
anyone from LA? Like I don't
Then-
even think
but
I
then
have
you
that.
get to
I
miss
can't
each
do
other.
long distance.
Yeah,
I
but,
did
I mean,
that.
but that's because I'm that same way. Like if you're too like.
No, you
Everyone's
can't
like
have
that.
it.
That's how you push
Breathe.
people
Well,
away.
you-
It's okay in the beginning.
You
That's what it's
certainly
supposed to
can't have
be.
any clingy men. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna play. You're gonna.
I'm
Also,
over
you
long
have to have
distance
good.
now.
You what?
I'm
Yeah.
over long distance. I
Long
like
distance
someone
works
in LA.
perfect for you. But also, you got to have good instincts, right? Like you said, you don't want to get in that car. My
You
instincts.
always trust your gut.
I have very good instincts. Being raised in New York, hanging out at the Scalia. But I will tell you, my time out here has definitely dulled my instincts. It did for a while, but they're back. And you know, I'm too busy contending with all kinds of stuff coming at me in life to really be involved with dating. And this is another thing I wanted to ask. The last girl I even attempted, she was going through something with her dogs. The poor little dog was having surgery, and I wanted to be there for her. I met her at a party, whatever. And she had all these dating protocols. She was on the dating sites. I'm not on any of these dating sites. I never have been. I don't understand them. I believe in
don't either.
spontaneity, personally.
I do too.
I think if you go out and do what you enjoy doing, and if you have good friends and you're out with your pals, that's another good thing. I would think to women, if they see a guy at a bar, at a party, at a club, and he's there alone, like you said, that guy is always something wacky there. But if you see him, he's with good pals, and they just all seem to. That's a good sign. You know, you're who you associate with. You know that whole thing.
Right.
So, but I never got to take her on a proper date, which was a big thing for her. Now, I'm about hanging out. I don't, you know, but I understand women want a guy to not just come along and go, hey, come on over and let's watch TV.
Well, I don't want to do that. At least go out for a drink.
A lot of times
I
it
don't wanna go
has
to
to
dinner
do
either.
with financial ability on the part of the guy. You know, sometimes they might have the ability, but they're just cheap. Or a lot of guys hold resentment and they feel women are just trying to get their money or get a free meal or whatever, and they're not going to give it up or they're not going to give anything in return and blah, blah, blah.
Like, I'm starving. I'm going to go on a date, so this guy will feed
Right,
me.
I gotta stay for 4 hours. Get this like.
Well, I'm full. I got to go.
Right, I'm like. That's another
But
topic.
is that, how critical is that first proper date deal if you met a guy?
You know what? I've never been on a first proper date ever.
But I mean.
Well, you've been
Well,
taken
but you're
out
saying
on proper
date. I
dates.
mean,
I don't
you're
wanna
not
be on a
coming to
proper
my
date.
house. I'm not going to yours.
You're meeting a
Exactly.
guy somewhere.
Right, we're
Because
go-
you're
you
about
can call
safety.
it a proper
And,
date or not, but.
but I mean, going out to a restaurant, not just going out.
It can be anything. It doesn't have to be a restaurant. They can be boring. I don't.
Look, if a guy said, let's go hiking.
I would love that.
I wouldn't.
love
On a
that.
first
What
proper
about
date,
you?
if I never
love
met
that.
him, I'd be like, I don't think
I
so.
would
Do you
love that.
agree? Or,
Everybody that can,
yeah,
definitely.
would you prefer, do you insist that, like this girl insisted, you had to go out, you know. If a guy said, let's go hiking, or let's go walk, let's go to the beach, and then, you know, there's not a lot of money involved. We're just going to hang. Would that be cool, or you want to be told, well, come on, I'm taking you out for dinner?
That's a tough one. I think it would kind of depend on the guy. I mean, normally, if you met him on the internet, you're probably going to do like the back and forth with the emails, and then you're finally going to meet somewhere like the infamous Starbucks date.
I'm so
And
out
then
of
after
dating.
that, I don't know, because you don't want to end up with a cheap guy too. So
No,
you kinda-
that's
you
what
know
I was getting
mean?
to. That's the worst. If I was a woman and I was on a date and the guy had asked me out, and I've had numerous women tell me that this has happened to them, and when the check came, he goes, "This is your share." If I
it's
was
over.
a woman, well, here's what I would do.
Never had that happen.
Oh, I
wish.
bet
I
it-
wish.
I never. Also, I
But
never
isn't-
go out without
isn't-
money either.
but
Never
isn't-
go out without
But if
money, but
someone-
never.
that-
ever.
No, but I'm
to me.
saying no. But the only response, forget about having money. He invited you out.
Doesn't matter. I'm saying I will never go
Well,
out.
no, that's
period,
smart,
Or
of
on a
course.
date
That-
without money anyway.
But if a guy did that
If a
to
guy
you,
did that-
if I was a woman and a guy did that to me, here's my response. It's this simple. I wouldn't say a word to him. I just stand up. I walk out. The only word I might say to him, "You cheap motherfucker! Don't ever call me again." And here's the thing, and this is where low self-esteem with women comes in. And this is a big issue. And I'll tell you, I talked to a guy that does hypnosis and helps people with various issues. And what he told me about not 90% of the women that come to him, what the primary issue is, low self-esteem. Okay, so why would a woman even tolerate that? I don't know. I looked at the women that have told me this. I said, what did you do? You didn't pay any money, did you?
think they
And
probably
some
got-
of them pay.
Well, probably because they felt like they didn't want to look like.
No,
you know,
no,
so that's
no,
what people
no,
sexually
no.
get
He
them.
invited.
Maybe they didn't want
Unless
to make a scene.
Explaining.
you don't have to make
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but it's not a
That
scene.
is
It's just
how
getting up and
people-
leaving.
Yeah, but that's how people think.
They got to start thinking more like me.
You might think the
You're
guy's
right, you're right.
crazy. Like if I don't, like if he.
Well, that's
yeah,
another-
I would
that-
think he's
that's-
crazy.
that's-
I just think he's
okay,
crazy.
that's
I would
another-
I would do what you said. I'd be
Okay,
like,
that's
yeah,
another
whatever. It would
issue.
be a
If you
deal
have
breaker.
concerns about safety, that the guy might be a nut.
He
and
gotta
if-
be a nut
okay.
to take me on a date and you go, here's your hat.
No, he
Wait,
doesn't.
you go on a
No,
first
he
date,
just
you don't
has to
really
be
know
an LA. I know. He just needs to be an LA funky actor, musician type.
Don't
because
tell me. That was going to be my post today, but I deleted it. 'cause I didn't
musicians
feel
are
like
very
it.
used to women paying their way.
No,
I
but
lived
LA.
with a couple.
LA,
This is
period.
LA. This is very
I
real.
don't ever buy a drink when I'm on the East Coast. Ever. I don't ever have to worry
Sure.
about here.
Here's what you know. What I don't accept drinks from anybody. You know why? Because I don't want to
They
talk to
don't
you.
offer here.
Why? Why don't you
Come on,
accept
Martha.
drinks?
I hate it because let
'Cause
me
you
buy
feel
a drink.
obligated?
I'm like, no, that's okay. I got it.
Well, lucky
And
you.
he's like, let me buy you a drink. I was like, listen, I don't want to talk to you. I don't.
10
I'm
minutes
just
left
gonna
total?
break- because then
Oh,
I feel like
okay.
I'm obligated to talk to him, and I don't want to.
Well, that's a fair point. But if it was a
Yeah.
guy that seemed interesting, that was nice looking,
I'd
that
be like,
you felt a
okay.
little chemistry, whatever.
Sure.
It's that old thing.
But
It's
you know what?
sexual
I do-
harassment if he's not cute.
If he did, then just the way I am, I'd probably get the next drink. But that's just.
But
I
you're
don't know.
Chicago. That's
Yeah.
East Coast. You're
Yeah.
100% correct about New York. In fact, in New York, if you go to a bar, be you a man or a woman, and you're sitting there and you have a few drinks, the bartender will give you what they call a buyback. They give you a free drink. That's good business. At the cafe I worked at in Toluca Lake, we had people that came 4 or 5 times a week for dinner and or lunch. After a couple of weeks or whatever, we'd either pick up the meal or we'd buy them a bottle of wine or a couple of rounds of drinks. That's good business. But in the concept of dating, I'm going to tell you what I did, and you guys tell me if I screwed up.
Oh, I'll tell
I'm
you.
going to tell you
You
what.
know where this is going.
I wound up being asked to come over. Where my work is, when I do the murder mysteries, was near where she lived. And it was a Saturday night, and she said, because her dog was recovering from surgery, she asked for me to come over and give her a hug. She wanted some comfort. She loves those dogs, and I totally understand that. So I wound up in her apartment. We'd never gone out. And I was going to take it to the cafe I used to work at because the French guys that own that, I have a retirement plan. They don't take my money. I eat for free. They love me. So I could have taken her there. She likes wine. One of them is a sommelier. They have a separate little room. We could have been in there alone, wine tasting. It would have been great, and that's what I was going to do. But I never got a chance to because I went over her apartment. We sat on the couch, held hands, chatted, hand on her thigh. Nothing. I wasn't pushy in any way. I was just very comfortable. I like this girl. And then maybe it's the comedian in me, the wise ass from New York. I couldn't resist, and I said this. I said, so I made it into your apartment. So I said, so am I the first guy to make it into your apartment without taking you on a first proper date?
Oh, it's-
Now, she didn't say anything at that moment. She didn't say, you're an asshole. She didn't hit me in the shoulder. She didn't slap me upside the head. She didn't say, fuck you. She didn't say anything. And we sat there for a few more minutes, and then time to go. Then we're standing up and we're doing a little huggy, kissy. And, my hands go under the shirt and I'm getting a little lucky. And then it's time for my hands to come away. And as I'm making that decision, she's pulling the shirt down. So the chemistry it seemed like we were right on target.
Right.
Okay. So I thought, this is good,
First base.
It was nice, it was just nice. Everything was cool. I didn't think I did anything wrong. I called her the next day. No response. Later in the day, no response. And then I see she had turned a little distant on me before. In a short time, we dealt with each other. And I left her a message and said, what's up, whatever? You run a little hot and cold. And she did. I mean, in my perception. Mm-hmm. That's part of being a woman. So, okay. So she sent me a Facebook message. I don't run hot and cold. You made that crack about being in my apartment without the first date. I don't know if you noticed. You were the only one laughing. So she was all pissed off. But yet, 5 minutes after her pissed off, my hands are coming up under her blouse. So you tell me. Do I have a right to be confused?
Yeah.
Yeah, take that one.
You know what? She doesn't know what she wants. And so that's why she was playing hot and cold with you. She was confused on what she wanted, and it wasn't what you said.
I mean, for the dog.
Well, we were sitting in there just to be with her. She wanted a hug, and we'd done a little kissy before. Look, I'm not pushy anymore. I'm in no hurry because I've dealt with I have dealt with too many psychopaths. Honestly, I dealt with one woman that really belongs in a facility. At Murder Mystery, and because I was, lonely. One of the actresses, she invited me out. Turned out she lived with her ex-husband. She took me to a place to see music. All the way there, she told me one of the guys playing music she dated, is that going to be a problem? No, I don't care, She wanted us to get in a fight over her.
Right. Women are so weird sometimes.
Yeah.
So we only got a few minutes left. I just am asking. One woman told me that was a dumb thing to do, and that her reaction, some people process things long. It takes them longer to process. Mm-hmm. And then one guy friend did tell me, Howie, that was fucking stupid.
No, I don't.
But
think
I don't.
Any of those.
It was just a joke.
I think it was just her excuse to get out of it. That's it.
Well, she knew. I don't know if she knew. She's not. Well, she had made remarks about maybe she should find an old codger with a lot of money, and she had seen me not yet take her out and spend money on her.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't matter.
So, I don't know, but I will tell you this: will you all?
I would have invited you over if I really had that huge of a problem.
Yeah,
with it. You wouldn't have been the first guy.
Right.
You wouldn't have even got inside
That's
the door.
what I'm saying. It was just an excuse with her. It was just an excuse. She didn't know how
I
else
guess
to
so.
do it.
I took the high ground, though. My response was "Good luck to you,"
Can
and all that, and
And you kept calling her, right?
no, because she had also told me we'd gone to two different parties. We met at two different parties. These people throw these great parties, and she told me about this guy was. She was worried about a guy she dated that was going to be there. That was kind of a stalkerish guy, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, just don't even take that out of your mind, and don't worry. And if anything actually happens, I'm a lot stronger than I look. I'll fucking kill the guy. That's what I said, to put her at ease. Mm-hmm. I don't claim to be a Mr. Tough Guy, but, I don't like guys like that. And whatever. And it turned out one of the guys that was going to be at the party was a Culver City cop, off duty. So there was no concerns,
Right.
But it seemed like she'd had a couple of guys that, didn't let go. And I'm not that guy. When I was younger, I was that guy. But you learn as a guy, right? If the best way to lose a girl is when she says, let's back it off, and you keep coming at her.
Oh, yeah. But that's
But
the
if
way to
you
lose
back
anybody.
away,
Period.
she goes, oh, this guy, has some fucking
Here's the thing.
self-respect.
If you really
right?
like
Am
each
I
other,
right?
You're both going to be about it.
But doesn't
if I want somebody,
don't
I'll go after it. Period.
Yeah, I know, but if you've been told, okay, I'm not interested, and you keep going, if a guy is told, I'm not interested, or I need some time,
Stop
isn't
answering
the
your
best
phone.
move a guy can make to back away and
Yes.
give the
But
time?
But
Yes.
if not, I found the best move a woman can make is ask the guy to borrow some money. Never hear from him again. I promise. It works
That's
like
good,
a charm
that's good.
every
See,
single
good
time.
knowledge being given
$500.
on constant forward motion. Our sound engineer is shaking his head. Yeah, that's the ticket.
It's foolproof.
Big
I'm telling
thumbs
you,
up.
all of a sudden, hello.
That is so sweet.
Hello.
What? Oh, I have a bad connection.
If you really cared about me.
You never hear from the. I'm telling you, 100% of the time.
That is. Oh, speaking about money and the dating deal. Okay, I met a woman from Sweden at a party. Tall, long legs, nice looking woman. Just had twins though, twin babies, like 3 months old, with some crazy biker guy. Lived in Orange County. I talked to her on the phone. I knew she was having some troubles, and I try to help people. And I said, "Look, you're a single mom in L.A. There's a million resources. I'm slow on the. I'm a brilliant man, but I'm a little slow on the uptake sometimes." Then I got this is code. She wasn't. You. That's a brilliant idea, and all women should hear what Dana said. That's a brilliant idea if you want to get rid of a guy. But she didn't say, "I want to borrow some money." This is how I got it. She emailed me after we had talked on the phone, and she was depressed because, she needed money. And I said, "Look, the state will help you. The city will help you. He's required to give you money for the kid. Whatever." I wasn't going to go down there and visit her and have psycho biker guys show up. I went out a window once before because I was fooling around with a married woman, and that's never going to happen. Certain things happen once in your life, and then they're never going to happen again. But this was the code. In the email, she wrote, "I could really use a friend right now." Now, I really believe in friendship. Friendship is really the highest value. So if somebody says to me, "I really need a friend," to me, that means I need you to just be with me or listen to me, a shoulder to cry on. I need to vent. But that's not what she meant. She meant that's code for I need money.
God.
That's what it was. And we weren't close. 1 minute, we're cutting it. Okay, you know what? On that note, so anyway, let's finish it with, we'll all agree money is an issue between the sexes in the dating scenario, one way or another. Always good for each party to have their own money, their own way,
sure.
and trust your instincts, right?
Always.
And if I were you, I'd just go to AA meetings and let some guy that's
find
only
you
been there
somebody.
like a week listen to the guy that gets up and says, "I've been sober a week," and that's that you think, "Oh, this guy's pretty attractive. I could see getting busy with him." And then during coffee, go, "I'll tell you, man, if you were drinking again, we could have some fun." And then get yourself a guy that drinks, because that guy will give up his sobriety like that. All right, I want to say that, Kim, tell them real quick again, singularcity.com. And Dana?
I'm just the Oprah Facebook, so it's the one Dana Hanna.
The one Dana, the letter?
The ONE.
Okay, the one DanaHanna.com. That's the
just
Facebook
Facebook.com,
page.
yeah.
Oh, the one day, I didn't know that. I'm lucky enough. I made it in the 5,000. And we can't talk about the boat unless we know.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to my boss first.
Okay, but if anybody wants to know about the boat, you can just get me, Lumpy Goose Productions, Lumpy Goose Productions at gmail.com, or Howie Wallfish with one L on Facebook, or at Howie Wallfish. Although I've done minimal tweeting. I think I tweeted twice.
I hate
but I was told if I want to be on Saturday Night Live off of social media, I got to get busy with Twitter. So that's it. So let's say goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for being here to my guests. Okay, we all